Oh my god, Doom Patrollers, I may have just watched the best episode of this series by far because it's a musical and it was insane. This was a freaking awesome episode right here. Now, I don't want to go too much further into this without spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, please go watch it on Max. It's so good, and clearly you can tell how much time and effort they put into making this episode. I mean, a regular episode, it already takes a lot to make it happen, but a musical, I mean, learning the songs, learning the choreography, everything, that all takes quite a bit of effort. So go check it out. Go check out their hard work that was put in this episode. It's insane, and it definitely paid off because, like I said, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of this series. And there is actually an interview on TVinsider.com with showrunner and executive producer Jeremy Carver, where he's talking about a little bit of the behind the scenes behind this episode, how some of the songs came to be, some of the actors' experiences with singing and everything. And just before we get into what actually happened in this episode, I just want to talk about that factor, just that this is a musical episode. I mean, so many shows do musical episodes, so it's not that weird or uncommon at this point, but Doom Patrol is not your average show. So the thing with this is that, you know, in some ways it's funny because it's like it's weird to see these characters singing and dancing and doing all this stuff, and for a lot of them it's very out of character, but at the same time, it's also just awesome because these are great songs. They're very catchy. And again, it's impressive that like they learned all this choreography and can sing, and it's great. I mean, obviously not all of these actors are singers. I mean, you do have Matt Bomer here who has been on Broadway, so of course he did a fantastic job. But not all of these actors are trained singers. And that was again something they talked about in that interview, was about how like everybody was really game for this. Just some of them were worried about like, oh, they didn't really see themselves as the strongest singers. But that's not really what matters. It's what you put into it with the emotion and the effort behind it. And everybody was amazing in this episode. It was really, really fantastic. So I really enjoyed that. This episode, of course, is it's in Isabel's Immortimas world. So last episode ended with, of course, we had we had the parade for Isabel, and then it turned more into a parade about the Doom Patrol. Isabel got freaked out about that, so she did her like sonic scream thing, and that was the cliffhanger we ended the episode on. And now we open up this episode in a brand new reality, a new world where the Doom Patrol, they're celebrating Christmas. It's the holiday season, except it's not called Christmas here. Here it is called Immortimas. And oh yeah, I'm definitely going to rewatch this episode in December because this was already getting me in the Christmas spirit for sure. And oh, again, just speaking of the musical aspect, we open the episode, obviously the classic Doom Patrol intro. One of my favorite things about the show, it's a great intro, opening credits, all that stuff. It was a little different this time because it was an a cappella version of the Doom Patrol intro. And again, what a friggin' cool attention to detail right there, because that's not something they had to do. They could have just stuck in the same exact intro they always use, but no, they went through the effort of recording a whole brand new intro with the a cappella version, and it was beautiful. It was brilliant. Especially how like, you know, they were just saying like Doom Patrol over and over again. It was great. And all of our characters in this episode, they of course get their own moments in the spotlight. They're all getting their own individual songs, their own solos and everything. So everybody gets to sing on their own. But our opening number was fantastic. Really great way to kind of set the tone for the episode. But we are gonna kind of talk about things in order, because after that, the first real music number was between Jane and Casey, which of course is quite interesting because we know they've been setting up a romance between those two, and that's very clearly evident in this episode. They have a duet together, and the duet is basically like both of them having like their kind of their inner thoughts about each other, and like saying like, oh, they're really good and like all this stuff, and basically they like each other. But eventually in the episode, when the truth comes out that this is all fake, and Jane gets back to realizing like, oh, there's like multiple people inside her brain. She's got the whole split personality um, situation. She basically tells Casey like she can't deal with this right now. So their relationship is put on pause for the moment, but it's definitely going to be coming to fruition in these final few episodes of this series. That's something I'm really excited to see. So I enjoyed that. That was really entertaining. We do also have a best friend song between Rita and Rouge, which again, I talked about it last week that one of my favorite aspects of this season has been the relationship between Rita and Rouge and how that has grown over these episodes. That's been a fantastic addition and aspect of this show. And of course, this is the song that leads to Rouge, aka Laura Demille, realizing that something's wrong. And she's the first one to kind of snap out of it and realize that, oh, Immortimas is fake. Isabel did this to us. It's some sort of alternate reality. So that's what we've got going on there. Then we have Cliff. Cliff is again, Jeremy Carver talked about this in the interview about how he wanted to get a good variety of like the types of songs and everything. And Cliff's masturbating. And he actually gets two songs, and they're both very unserious for the most part. Well, actually, the second one is kind of serious. But both very highly entertaining, and getting to see Brendan Fraser sing was hilarious. And also, just speaking of that, just getting to see Brendan Fraser and Matt Bomer on screen again was fantastic. Obviously we always have Robot Man and Negative Man, the bandages and the robot suit, but to actually get our actors on screen and have their facial expressions and everything, that was really entertaining and great to see. Vic has an interesting part to play here because when we start the episode with this whole Immortimas celebration, he has apparently moved out and he's off doing a robotics club with Derek. But then he comes back and he's thinking about how like he feels like he should be doing more in the world. And he has a whole song about that, about like focusing on the future and all this. And we've seen in the trailers that he goes back to being cyborg. So we're obviously going on that journey here. And so his song really helps him with that kind of self-reflection. This is one of the things I love about musicals. If you're not a fan of musicals, you should be. First of all, I'm a musical theater guy. But one of the cool things about musicals is that you can use songs to do so much character development. That's why each character gets their own song, and they're all like songs that their songs are all like asking questions about themselves. Like for Jane and Casey, it was like the song furthered their relation. That's what that did. The same thing with Rita and Rouge, and that also led to Rouge coming to that revelation. Cliff's first one, that's different. But Vic, he's questioning about his future, the choices he's made, and what he's going to do next. And that's what this song does for him. And then finally, speaking of blossoming relationships, we got Larry and Rama, Negative Man, and Mr. 104, which that was adorable getting to see that at the beginning of the episode again. Matt Bomer, Broadway singer, so he's got a good voice here. So that's on full display. And with the story within the Immortimas situation, he's bringing his boyfriend to dinner and introducing him to the family. So at least in this reality, they're officially a couple. We know that that's been, again, another blossoming relationship. So they get a fantastic song and dance together, which is very Broadway-esque with some of the visuals and the stage and the steps, and that was fantastic. Elements of Love. Honestly, I think that might be one of my favorite songs of the episode, although they were all really spectacular and amazing. So we got that. That's going on. And then, of course, the final one is Cliff, where one of the big things is that even when these characters do realize that they're in this fake reality, most of them want to stay here because their lives are better, and particularly for Cliff because, he has his family, he has his daughter, he has his grandson, he's got Rory, but he has his body. If he goes back to the real world, he's a robot again. But here, he can touch, he can feel, he can smell, he can taste, he can do everything. And I love this song where it's him doing a back and forth between Cliff and Cliff in the robot suit. So that was really cool, a nice kind of self-exploration song for Cliff. I really enjoyed that. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, we do get to see the whole group coming together. It's Immortimas. We got the ham dinner. Isabel shows up. She makes her appearance, and nobody's having it. They basically vote to like leave, and then Isabel makes them walk like zombies, and she has her own song. And then the episode ends with her. It looks like a headshot of hers, which is signed and says, "You're all doomed." And that is how the episode ends. But, while I don't really know exactly what that means, I'm excited to find out. And again, this was just a fantastic episode. It was so much fun, and it just put a smile on my face this whole time. I mean, Doom Patrol always does, but particularly with this episode, it was just fun. It was wacky. It was wonderful. I loved it. And I love this show, and it makes me sad to realize that we only have 3 episodes left of the entire series after this one. So that's going to be quite sad, but of course I will continue to cover these remaining 3 episodes. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about Doom Patrol Season 4, Episode 9, Immortimas Patrol, aka the musical episode? And happy Immortimas, everybody. So thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.